not talking about like insider Bitcoin drama basically. And that's honestly what I've been focused on, is just like what is going to take Bitcoin even more mainstream than it already is, and really trying to like actually think about
I
that.
think that's a great starting point, and to start off the podcast, where like, what is it that actually brings the long term people into Bitcoin? Like, what is the top of the funnel? Because we all know, like, you fall down a rabbit hole. Like, you first get Bitcoin, then you get into self custody, you run your own node, you do all the things, and then maybe down the line, like very on the bottom of the funnel, where like almost nobody is anymore, you care a lot about Bitcoin curve versus knots, and like I covered that topic back and forth, and stated my opinions many times, so I don't need to do it on this podcast. But like, the important thing is that people are interested in Bitcoin and coming in there and increasing their allocation, I guess.
Yeah, no, on that. Like I'm not sure that like learning to run your own node and like learning self-custody and all that stuff, like I'll just touch the third rail on that. I don't know if you have to do that immediately right away anymore. And I don't know if that even is the best thing to be focused on, because like I said, I'm right now I'm in the habit of recording on my channel twice a day right now. And I'm trying to just record very top level, like why 0.21 Bitcoin matters, like why you should be allocated to Bitcoin, just very mainstream messages. And I've received emails from people that are like, hey, I'm trying to dive in deeper, and I'm trying to like run my own node and these things. And it's like, dude, like honestly, the time that you're spending on trying to learn how to do that is not helping you become more wealthy. It's not. It's and all the time you're trying to learn about the different wallets and all that stuff it's not helping you become more wealthy. It's not helping your like family really. And I've just been really, really running my head over that, of like, I almost think that it's better to just stack, and everyone knows this, but like stack as much Bitcoin as possible. Like, and then the rest honestly like falls into place. Like the optionality of just getting as much Bitcoin as possible, and not in a frantic way. That's what bothers me so much about Bitcoin podcasts and YouTube videos. I feel like is so frantic. Like, oh, you have to stack Bitcoin today because the institutions are buying it all. You have to have an opinion about the latest node software because the network could be in trouble. Like, I feel like we're recreating the way that regular news works and like regular cycles work. And I'm almost coming back to the full left curve of like, if I want to consume drama content, like I'm going to go consume fantasy football content about what's happening with the different football players and injuries or whatever. I'm not going to like, I don't need that from Bitcoin anymore. Like Bitcoin used to be so much of like a community that where I would like show up to Twitter every day and talk with people about the latest things of what's going on. But so much more and more, I feel like the conversations that are still there and happening are, dude, they're not central to anything. They're not central to anything. Like here's an example. I've been testing out like Fidelity's crypto product. Like I just deposited Bitcoin into Fidelity's crypto product. That like feeling like, what is it like to use the most mainstream of mainstream like new products? And the conversations happening online around Bitcoin on like the farthest niche of it is just not relevant to that at all. Like I'm really trying to understand kind of what a regular person is like now these days.
And I get that a lot because, like, if you go down the full security and running your own node rabbit hole, you spend maybe like 500 or to $1,000 on the node. You spend on the hardware wallet. You spend on all the things. And I come from IT security, and I say that, like, for me, it's like the stack size has to kind of reflect what your security cost and security allocation is. If you have 10 Bitcoin, yeah, like get nice security setup, like do that. If you have $1,000 in Bitcoin, don't buy a $200 self custody device where you can stamp the Bitcoin on a metal plate. Like that does not make sense at all. But if you have like 100 Bitcoin, it probably makes sense to think about how you keep them and where to distribute them and like multi-sig and like all that shit. I mean, you can also have them in the ETF and trust the third parties, but I'm more on the side of like doing self custody. So I think the security budget should like your stack should represent the security budget of your custody setup.
Super great point. Honestly, super great point. And I think, and you're right. That's what's hard about so that's what's hard about talking about on the internet about anything, right? Is you want to talk to a generalist audience and a specific audience at the same time. And so the generalist audience that I've been carving out of like really trying to talk to is 35 to 55-year-olds in the United States that just have regular jobs and are under allocated to Bitcoin. And this includes people that watch other crypto channels. This includes people that watch CNBC and Fox Business all the time, because you're absolutely right. They almost think there still is this thing out here. And Bitcoiners have like cried against shitcoins for a long time, but I'm trying to take it past that. It's not the old way of just crying against shitcoins. It's just a very logical, like, if you watch investing content and watch personal finance content and you own less than 0.21 Bitcoin, like, that's just a mistake. Like, that's not the best thing you can do. And up to 0.21, that's like, as of today, like $18,000, $20,000 worth of Bitcoin. You're right. You're secure. The way that you secure that can be anything. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And if someone off the street walks up and can't buy $20,000 of Bitcoin and feel safe about it, the network has a problem then. Like, then the network has a problem if someone can't just get started. Someone needs to just be able to get started with $18,000, $20,000, $25,000 of Bitcoin without having to, just be so nerdy in the weeds of like learning new stuff. And so that's why I'm just not interested in that, like, I'm not keeping up on the latest of any of that at all.
I think it's a good thing to do because it's like you kind of have to, as I said, and I appreciate, because there's like many different educational pillars and content creators for many different segments. For example, you know him, Ben from BTC Sessions. He covers like the other end of the spectrum, where people already know the why they are Bitcoin doing. He's just covering the how. He's like covering all the wallets and all the things. And I think we need all of that. But I think the most important thing is actually, I mean, I'm biased because I do the same thing. Like the why Bitcoin. Like you like, most people are completely under allocated. Most people don't take Bitcoin serious enough. I get it, because I poll my audience actually every single day with different questions. And what I get constantly is like, yeah, they're not bullish enough on Bitcoin. Nobody is bullish enough on Bitcoin.
It's a great point on the why versus how. And you're right. I understand the being over it on the why front. And then that's the reason why you dig in on the kind of tech front. Completely understand that. The other how, though, that isn't getting enough surface area is the personal finance side. Like, OG Bitcoiners were great at talking about like the why, and they were great at talking about the how on the tech side. It's still way, way under talked about the how on the personal finance side. Like, okay, so say I've already done my 1,000 hours of the why, and I've already done my 1,000 hours of the like how on the tech side. Now I'm a dad living in the suburbs with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old now. Like, my life is infinitely more complex than it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I started talking about Bitcoin on the internet. And I'm craving other, again, 35 to 55-year-olds having a faster time on offboarding from dollars onto Bitcoin with the physical how. That's why for so long, when people are like, oh, well, how do you spend it? They didn't need 50 answers back about Austrian economics about how, like, why spending is bad. No, just answer their question. And what's sweet is that now we're able to say, well, Steak and Shake takes it. Well, Sheet's convenience store takes it. We can actually answer the question now rather than talking in so much theory. And I think that's exciting. I think that proves that Bitcoin is mainstream right now. Bitcoin is mainstream. And it's almost in this weird, like, mainstream lull where everyone knows about it, but they're still not doing enough about it.
And you teased it because I think personal finance is something where a lot of Bitcoiners are like, oh yeah, I have Bitcoin. That's my personal finance. And I'm like, that's not personal finance. What is kind of the how that you see for personal finance paired with Bitcoin? Like what's important there?
I think mentally working down the friction between dollars and Bitcoin. I think for a while I was talking about like get on zero fiat, and that was a good mental exercise. It was a great mental exercise to force yourself to go all the way there. So if you do a mental exercise and force yourself to go all the way there, the the daily like holding power of Bitcoin is actually that like the odds of Bitcoin increasing in purchasing power every day is there. And even after you account for the friction of taxes, and so doing the mental exercise of going all the way there is helpful because then what you can do is you can pull it back to wherever is convenient. Then you're seeking for convenience. So the math already says holding Bitcoin on all time frames is better than holding fiat. Okay. But then practically and convenience wise, it's about finding the main way that you can reduce as much friction as possible between Bitcoin and dollars. Because I think still the mainstream Bitcoin personal finance advice is to hold the two buckets very separately. And it just every point in my life where I have again reduced that friction between the buckets, I've actually taken a step forward in my personal finances. Like my standard of living has gone up, the ability for me to make more money has gone up, my actual like mental lightness freedom has gone up rather than keeping them in these like separate buckets.
And I've made the switch now. I'm in a lucky position because I earn also Bitcoin and I can spend some Bitcoin. And the moment I spend my first a little bit Bitcoin, where I paid a freelancer, I lost my fear of spending Bitcoin. And we have so much fear because we always say like, hodl, don't sell, hodl, don't sell. And it's just like such a constant meme. You see it on Twitter, you see it on YouTube, the podcasts are talking about it. And you're like, oh, I cannot sell my Bitcoin. Oh, I will die with my Bitcoin because I'm so fucking afraid to sell my Bitcoin. And I had that in me and I sold my first ones. I was like, oh, Bitcoin is money. I can use it as such. It's an incredible moment, and I'm all in Bitcoin. So at some point I have to sell some, and actually I sell Bitcoin now. I shouldn't say sell. I spend my Bitcoin now every single month, sometimes even every single week.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Once it happens, once you rip the band-aid off and it happens, it frees you up. It fully frees you up. And because I think what speaking about the fear, speaking exactly on that point, I think people are afraid that if they see it as a black and white thing and they think that if they switch into selling mode or if they switch into spending mode that they will never get that much Bitcoin again. And so it's great. We've all been focused on stacking and stacking and stacking. And so we have our high watermark for how many Bitcoin units we have. And then we feel like, oh, if we spend some, then we will never reach that high watermark again. And Bitcoin is going to $1 million. So then we will like won't be as wealthy as we imagine that we will be in the future.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.